All right. Hello, everyone. We're going to give everybody just a moment to join and get situated, and then we will get started. Hi, everyone. As you're joining, we are just giving everyone a moment to get in on the Zoom, and we will be starting in just a moment. All right, we will go ahead and get started. First, thank you all so much for joining us today. We know that your schedules are very, very busy as educators, so we really appreciate you taking the time to join us and learn about the redesigned Lexile and Quantile Hub, and also learn about some time-saving teaching tools and strategies that you can use in your classrooms. So here is our agenda for this webinar. We will start with a very quick overview of the Lexile and Quantile frameworks, where you can get Lexile and Quantile student measures, and we will introduce you to the newly redesigned hub. Then we will hand it over to our wonderful Lexile and Quantile Educator Ambassadors, who will go into the hub live and demo some of the tools for you and talk about how they use them in their classrooms. After that, we will briefly talk about the Lexile and Quantile Educator Academy and where you can go to really dive deeper into the frameworks and leverage the tools and resources on the hub. And then we will wrap it up with a Q&A and a giveaway. Just so you know, if you have any questions throughout this webinar, feel free to select that Q&A icon to submit your questions anytime throughout the webinar, and we will answer as many as we can during the Q&A session. But if we don't have time to get to yours, we will reach out to you individually to follow up on your question after the webinar. But first, let's introduce our speakers. We have Andi Arnold, who is an instructional coach in Idaho. She has 18 years of experience in education. Next, we have Jennifer Cottle Williams. She is currently a third grade math and science teacher in Nashville, Tennessee, and she is currently in her 22nd year of education. And then me, Kyle Gamble, I am the Educator Engagement Coordinator here at Metametrics. But prior to joining Metametrics, I was a classroom teacher with experience in pre-K to 5th grade. All right, so now let's talk about the Lexile and Quantile frameworks and where you can get these measures. But first, sorry, my Zoom bar is in the way. But at first, we just wanted to let you know that here at Metametrics, we don't actually believe that K-12 education needs more assessments. We believe that we need to be getting more out of the assessments that are already being delivered. And because of this, here at Metametrics, we do not have a Lexile test or a quantile test. Instead, what we do is we partner with state departments of education and ed tech companies to link our measures to the assessments that are already out there and existing. So because of this, students can actually receive Lexile and Quantile measures in one of two ways. The first way is through your state's accountability assessment if you are in a partner state. Sorry, my Zoom bar keeps getting in the way. My bad. And so on your state summative assessment, Lexile and Quantile measures might be reported alongside the student scale scores. The second way is through interim assessments and curriculum programs. So these assessments and programs report Lexile and Quantile measures alongside other scores. And because of this, over 35 million students are receiving Lexile and Quantile measures in all 50 states. Oopsies. And here is a sampling of some partner products that report Lexile and Quantile measures. This is not an exhaustive list. There are many, many more companies that report our measures, but this is just to give you kind of an idea. If anyone is interested in seeing the full list of current products that report our measures, my email address will be at the end of this presentation, and feel free to reach out to me. Or even if you want to know if the current interim assessments your school is using reports our measures, you can feel free to reach out to me. So students might actually be receiving multiple Lexile and Quantile measures within a given school year. They could be receiving 2 or 3 measures from their interim assessments. And then also those in partner states will be receiving a measure on their statewide summative assessment. And the 25 largest districts in the United States currently use Lexile and Quantile measures via some of our partners. And districts use these measures to make critical decisions for learners, monitor achievement and progress, and also evaluate the efficacy of their curricula. Here are some examples of how these districts are utilizing Lexile and Quantile measures. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but just to point out a few big ones. Some districts are using our Lexile and Quantile measures in tutoring to qualify and recruit students for programs. Um, they're also using them with English learners to inform whether proficiency has been achieved, and also for course placement. So to inform placement in courses at the start of the school year. Lexile and Quantile measures can be an important piece of that decision-making process. And if anyone would like more information on any one of these examples, again, we'll have my email at the end of this webinar, and you can feel free to reach out and I can provide you more information. All right, now why we're all here, introducing the new Lexile and Quantile Hub. So our new hub is fully redesigned. And one thing you might notice if you are a regular user of the hub prior to today, one thing you might notice if you were familiar with the old hub is we have a tablet and a phone here, not just a computer. So the new hub is also made to be used on tablets and phones, so on mobile devices. You don't just have to be on your computer for it. Um, so what you can expect from the newly redesigned hub is first and foremost accessibility compliance. The hub is now WCAG 2.1 AA compliant. And the really great thing about, well, not the great thing, but one thing to point out is that only 4% of websites are WCAG 2.1 AA compliant. So we're really proud that we can now be part of that 4%. Another thing you can expect is user-friendly navigation, optimized for phone and tablet use, as we just pointed out, and also enhanced user support and collaboration. So we have a new blog and also tool-specific user guides. So if you get on a tool and you kind of don't know where to start or how to use it, we have user guides that are very thorough and can walk you through how to use the tool and also give you some great examples of how to use them in your classrooms with your students. And then finally, we now have a centralized resource station. So kind of your one-stop shop for go-to resources. And now let's talk about how to use the redesigned hub in the classroom. And here is where I'm going to pass it over to our wonderful teachers, Andi and Jenn. We're going to start with Andi, who is going to walk us through how she uses the Lexile text analyzer in the classroom. And I am actually going to pull up the hub so she can do that.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
I'm letting Kyle run the show because I will be the person that messes it up if I share my screen. So Kyle's going to help me with this part, but I'm just going to take a couple moments to talk to you about the text analyzer. So if Kyle, if you'll go to that resources tab or sorry, the tools tab, I apologize, and go to text analyzer. So this is how I originally even found out about the hub. We have that single sign-in login, single line. I love that. Sorry. This is how I found out about it. We do in our district a common writing assessment district-wide, so K through 12. And we were trying to, as a department, an ELA department, we were trying to come up with using the same sources, the same articles, but scaling them back for different reading levels. So our students, I don't know if they're the same as anybody out there, but our students are not all at grade level. So for some reason, my ninth grade students don't all read at a ninth grade level. I don't know, it just seemed really weird to me. So when we were looking through these text analyzers, we wanted to see, okay, where is this text Lexile wise? Where are we? And can we help scale it down? Do we need to scale it up? And so this tool right here was really easy. We would do a writing assessment on something that was maybe slightly controversial or political, for example, cell phone usage in school. So what I would do here is we would just type in the article that we were going to have analyzed or the text. We would type in the title, and then you would copy and paste wherever I found the resource. We would copy and paste that into the analyzer right here, and then we would hit analyze. So this came straight from the resource, the website, the blog, whatever documentation I had, and it would pull up, okay, here's the Lexile range. So if we're looking at a 1210 Lexile to a 1400 Lexile, that's approaching post-secondary level of Lexile range. So remember, these aren't all indicative of what grade 12 does not mean 12th grade reading, but this is a higher level. And a lot of my students were coming in needing more of like a 700L Lexile. So what I do, or what my department would do, is we would take this opportunity to go back through the articles and without removing the credibility of the article, we would go and just adjust some words and just some phrases. We can utilize the chat GPTs of the world and help it to simplify some of the language. And then we would run it through again to see if we were able to make it at a lower Lexile so that we can reach all of our students. This way that they all had the same material, they all were using the same resources, but they weren't limited by the fact that they might not be able to comprehend the language in which it was given to us at. So that's how I fell in love with the text analyzer. I use it all the time still. Most of the teachers in my department use it as well. It's just a really great way to kind of see where are we at, where in this range. It talks about what kind of sentences are there, your longest sentence. It also says if your kids are here at this level, here are some texts that they can read, nonfiction, fiction, endless possibilities here. And then the best part is that you can always go back to your history. So if you use something 2 years ago and you don't remember what it was, the history tab allows you to go back in your history. I can go back to 2020 and it's there. So I think that's one of the best features that this has as well, is that I can go back, even though my brain might not remember where I was, the analyzer does, because it has my history saved. So thank you for that. And I think that's the quickest way I can recap our text analyzer.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andi. And now we are going to pass it over to Jenn, and Jenn is going to be driving on her own. So I will stop sharing and Jenn will take over, and she will walk us through how she uses the math skills database with her students.
Yay. I am going to replace the current share screen. Share. Taking us back to 2020. Can you see my screen? Why, yes, you can. Hi. All righty. So first of all, Kyle did mention where to find like some of the Lexile and Quantile measures. But I too stumbled upon this hub by accident. And this is one of our diagnostics. So our district uses iReady. And one day I was going through the diagnostic and I said, well, what's a quantile? Come to find out, Lexile has a sibling and it's the math version. So that's great. So this is at the end of a diagnostic test. You see like the quantile measure, the quantile range. And I'm going to pull up Kyle, my Zoom bar is in the way. Let's see. I am going to pull up that's a link. My Zoom bar is in the way. Kyle, it was contagious. All right, there we go. So here is the hub, and I'm going to pull up where I can find some additional resources because as teachers, we always need more stuff, right? And we always need free stuff if you're a partner state, and I am in a partner state. Huzzah. So this is the hub. I'm going to go to tools, and I'm going to go to the math skills database. I'm going to select state. I teach third grade. And let's see, I'm looking for the standard multiplication and division within 100. If I hit that and hit search, it's going to give you a bunch. So if you look at this cute little graphic over here, if you see this graphic, if the student is below the quantile range, here are some skills that you can give them to try to catch them up. If they're within the quantile range, here are some skills within that same standard that you can give them. And if they're above, there are some more skills there where it says like the impending skills. Alrighty, so let's just say I want to go to describe the meaning of an unknown. I can go to see resources. And if I decide that I like this video, I can hit save. And what I've done is I have individualized my resource lists according to students. So if Lee needs Safari Park or if Lee needs the Scholastic video, I can save it under Lee's name. Then if I go to my saved resources, I can go to Lee's name and hit that share link. And that gives a shareable link to Lee's parents. So during parent teacher conferences, I can say, okay, this is differentiated for Lee based on, what it is that we're doing in class, which is awesome because we're always told as teachers that we need to differentiate. And this is a great way to show parents, admin, and everyone that yes, 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 we are. And we're doing it from a site that is research-based. So that is the Quantile, the Math Skills database using the Quantile Hub. I'll stop sharing right now and hand it back to you, Kyle.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jen. And I'm going to take back over the driver's seat and I'm going to hand the microphone over to Andi, who is now going to walk us through the Lexile Career Database and talk about how it can be used with her students.
Okay, so first, could I just say that picking the topics that we talked about today was really difficult because I could talk for days and hours about all of the different tools. So please don't think these are the only tools that you're limited to, but these are just some of our favorites. So the next one that I really want to talk about is the Lexile Career Database, which is in that tools again. So you'll want to make sure you hit Lexile because Quantile is not necessarily my jam, but it is super important. Lexile though, Lexile is my home. So the Lexile Career Database is probably my favorite hidden gem of the hub because as a teacher, I don't know how many times I have heard, oh, I'm never going to need this. Like, I don't need to know this. I'm going to do this with my life and I never need to know this. So I hear this all the time and I can't imagine that you all haven't as well. I'm also a parent and I get this even more so from my children. I never need to know how to read, Mom. I'm never going to need to know how to do it. So one of my favorite things to do is to look at this career database for my children, the ones that I have at home, as well as for in my classroom. And I pick a field. So my son, I'm going to use him. He's 9. He won't care. He wants to be an astronaut. So I'm going to go to select an option and I'm going to click on science and technology for the field. Now, my son is in 4th grade and he hates to read, which is just devastating to me as a teacher and an ELA teacher. So I am encouraging him to read by showing him that to be an astronaut, aerospace engineer, if you will, that'll be close. If he wants to be an aerospace engineer, my love, here's what you need to do. So what's really great about this portion of the hub is that this will take over, it'll take some space and tell you about the job itself. It'll also tell you what education level is required for like baseline requirement, especially the essential educations, the things you might consider taking while you're in high school, those kind of courses as well. On the right of your screen is the Lexile measures. So this is where it's telling you you need to baseline entry position. You need to have a 1330 Lexile level. You have to be able to read at a 12th grade reading level or higher just to have that baseline entry into that workforce. Now, okay, these are all so cool. So if you scroll down a little bit more, it also tells you like, how does this career compare nationally? What is this projection of this career? So if you really want to be an aerospace engineer, you want to make that kind of money as your median pay. Here's the increase in jobs over the next 10 years. Here's how many openings there are. You can even go down to your specific state. So if we click, I'm in Idaho. And if I want to show my son, like you can be an astronaut, even if you live in Idaho. And we click there, it'll tell you what that looks like here in Idaho. Now you can see our median pay, definitely not the national median. The projected growth is still a 67% increase. It's much larger here in Idaho than it is nationwide. And then I think this is the best part. This is a new part, a new addition to this section is one, the more you learn. I'm sorry, guys. It's a Tuesday. If you scroll down just a little bit more, this part is so awesome. It tells you the key tasks of those professions. It tells you the things that you have to do to work in that field. And I love that it says phone. I have to use a phone. I have to make a phone call and talk to people on the phone. It tells you the technical skills that you need. And this is so neat, especially if you're working with 9-year-olds or you're working with my 15-year-old daughter. I went through the same thing. She wants to be an actor. We went through what do you need to be successful in these careers, and just to be able to go through all of this and show a plan. And I'm not going to click on it yet, but when Jen shows you the other side of this part, there's a way that you can start to track their growth and help them plan out their future career. And you can change it as many times as you want, because not everyone knows what they want to be at 9 or at 90. So we still have those options to keep changing. But this was so crucial for me as a teacher to show my students where they had to be in their Lexile and the resources that they'll need access to and the skills that they'll need to develop as well. And it's not just limited to the Lexile world, which is where I think Jen's going to take it, because she's going to talk about quantile of it. Am I right?
You're
You are
right.
right, Andi. That was a great transition. Yes, so now Jen will be walking us through the Quantile career database.
All righty. Let's see if I can move my Zoom bar out of the way. I need that thing there.
We are not
There we
paid
go.
actors.
There we go. So I'm going to go back to tools and I'm going to go to the Quantile career database. And so if I ask my third graders what they want to be, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say they want to be an influencer or a YouTuber. But once every blue moon, I get something else like, hey, I want to be a software engineer. Yay. All righty. So I can go to the field, and that is going to be in the informational technology field. I can go to, actually, let's do video game creator, because that's another one that comes up. So video game designer comes up and I hit search. And it tells me the same things that Andi just mentioned about the Lexile, but on the quantile side. So it gives you the median pay and everything else. If I go back to this report where this child is at a 470, if I scroll down right there where it says quantile growth planner, and I enter in that 470, when they took the test, the grade level that they're in, and submit, what happens is that it gives you a growth chart. So that dotted line is where that child is right now, and it gives you some projections. So it says, what do your results mean? It'll tell you if you're below, within, or above like different tracks. So college and career readiness, advanced college and career readiness. So this dotted line shows me that, this child is going to be on track to being a video game designer if, they stay the course. So that's also something that's really nifty. Now, granted, I'm not going to necessarily show a third grader this, but it is cool to see. And, some parents, like I'm in the American South. So, some parents are just like, yes, I want, yeah. And it's just like, okay, well, I can show you this and do with it what you may. But this is something that's really cool. And it's something that's interesting to see because, look at it. And it's colorful too, and teachers love color. So that's something else that you can use on this hub that's just amazing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jen and Andi, for walking us through those tools. I'm gonna get us back to our original slide deck here. Oops, there we go. Okay. All right, so we just saw the hub in action. So now let's talk about how to dive deeper into Lexile and Quantile measures, since we can't pack it all in this one webinar. So we do offer Lexile and Quantile certification courses through our Lexile and Quantile Educator Academy. So anyone who is interested in just taking a deeper dive into these frameworks, this is a good route to go. The courses were designed for educators, obviously, but they're also designed by educators. So teachers created these courses. They are asynchronous, and they teach you how to utilize the tools on the Lexile and Quantile Hub to improve student outcomes. You also have the chance to collaborate with a professional learning community, and you will walk away either being certified in the Lexile framework or the Quantile, or if you take both, you will walk away being dual certified in both frameworks. We have had about 3,000 educators so far take at least one of these courses. And this is the breakdown of sort of the type of educators we see in them. So you'll see that it's largely made up of classroom teachers, but we also have instructional coaches, support staff, interventionists, librarians, who have also gone through at least one Educator Academy course. Here's just a couple of quotes from Educator Academy graduates. I won't read them to you, but you can take a moment to read them. And again, we've had about 3,000 educators take these courses, and we ask on our course evaluation, what are some ways you plan to use what you have learned? And the top 3 responses that we've gotten are how to effectively utilize those Lexile and Quantile Hub tools. They plan to share knowledge with other colleagues and families, and then also to better interpret student data. And so far, 99% of Educator Academy graduates have reported that this coursework that they learned in these courses will impact student outcomes. So to get to the Educator Academy, we have the link up there, but you can also get there by selecting the support drop-down menu on the hub and selecting professional learning from the options that appear. Another thing you can do is if you just want more information about it, you can either reach out through our support channels, or again, at the end of the presentation, we will have my email address, and you can always feel free to reach out to me directly. And on that note, also, if you have questions after we close this webinar for either Andi or Jen, you can also feel free to reach out to me, and I will make sure those questions get to them. So now we are at our Q&A session. Any questions that we're not able to answer live, we will follow up with you directly. And then also we're gonna do our giveaway, which I think actually we just chose somebody for the giveaway. I was looking at my messages here, and it looks like the winner of a free Educator Academy course is Blanca Ramirez. So Blanca, I will be reaching out to you this week to set you up, talk with you about what course you would like to take, and make sure that you are able to enroll in that course and pick a start date that works for you. One thing I didn't mention is with these courses, you get 90 days to complete them too. Okay. All right, so now let's go to our Q&A. So I'm going to pull that up. And I'm going to scroll to the top here. All right. Okay, so the first one I see is from Idaho. I'm in Idaho at the College of Western Idaho's Adult Ed. I used to be able to use the text analyzer for free. It's always had a limited number, and it seems to be gone. What happened? So what happened is we partner with, we like to offer these tools and resources to as many educators as possible for free. And the way that we're able to do that is by partnering with our state departments of education. And unfortunately, Idaho is no longer a partner state. So that is why the free access is no longer there. And on that note, for anyone who's in this webinar who does not happen to be in a partner state, we do have premium memberships that give you unlimited access to find a book searches, your 30 texts per month on the text analyzer, and other tools and features for $17.99 per year if you are not in a partner state. Let's see. And then, do you happen to know where teachers can take an assessment to better understand Lexile and Quantile? Oh, this is such a good question. To better understand Lexile and Quantile by experiencing the assessment themselves. That is a great question, and it's actually one that I've had myself as well. I kind of want to take I want to take a Lexile and Quantile assessment so I can see what my measures are. I do not know the answer to that question right now, but I am happy to look into that further and follow up with you a little bit later this week. Next, does the career database only do the US or is it globally? Currently, it only covers the United States. Next, we have, is the tool for determining a Lexile score if a student produced 2 different Lexile scores on 2 different assessments? Great question. I can show you where to find that tool now. So Stacy, I believe you're referencing the Managing Multiple Measures tool, and it is still available. It looks a lot different, but let me show you where to find that on the new hub. So let me, pull that up. Zoom bars in the way. Okay, so you can find the Managing Multiple Measures tool by going to the Support drop-down menu. There goes my Zoom bar again. I'm so sorry. Okay, Support drop-down menu, and then selecting the FAQs. And then here's our table of contents for the FAQs, and you'll find Managing Multiple Measures is going to be the second to last one. And if I go in there, I have a lot of good information about why test score fluctuations may occur. But if I'm just wanting to get to that tool, I can select the first one. Why might my students receive unexpectedly different measures, and should I be concerned? If I go down a little bit, there is a link right here, our measures manager tool. And as I said, it looks a lot different, but you still get the same information out of it. Next, we have, let me go back to this Q&A. Okay, so next we have, is there a charge for the course? Yes, there is. It is $99 per course. However, before you enroll, if you're thinking about it, go ahead and reach out to me individually, because you might have some options. So reach out to me individually. We said, congratulations, good for Blanca. Yes. All right. Then we have one, I am in Australia. What is your reach outside of the USA? Great question. There is a reach outside of the USA. I will need to talk with some of our people who are more focused on the global side and get back to you with more specifics on how to answer that question. Then I see, in showing some teachers the career database, they have raised concerns about showing that to special education or ELL students. Their concern is that it might be unmotivating for these groups of students because their Lexile and Quantile are low at the high school level. So how do we address that concern? That is a really great question. I think it's really going to depend on the student that you're working with, right? So, I mean, I can speak to my time in the classroom where how I approach that would really depend on the student. So some students might see, the action plan that comes with the career database, what you can do next to help raise your measure. Some students might be really motivated for that to do that. So I might go ahead and share it with them. For students who it might be unmotivating for, or it might hurt them in some way, I might not show them the growth planner or the career database if it's not going to motivate them, right? We want these tools and resources to be useful. And if I know something is going to make my student think, oh, why bother, right? I'm not going to use it with them.
Carol, can I speak to that just a little bit more?
Yeah, go for it.
There, I agree. If it looks like it's going to be like defeating the child's like goals in life to show them that Lexile Quantile portion of it, don't make that the focus. I think some of the great parts about the new hub and how we're looking at that career planner, when we talk about the key tasks, like here's what they have to do, and then the idea of here are the technical skills you have and that work content, because those are great motivators within themselves to say you're going to have to you have to be able to spend a lot of time sitting still, right? So that might be something that you have to work on, and that can be a motivator for some of your kids. Or you have to have contact with others. You need to have face-to-face conversations. You need to be able to present a presentation. So those is stepping a little bit back from the Lexile and Quantile. And that can be in the back, and it should be in the back of your mind if that's something that can be obtainable. Look at those other skills, work content, those key tasks, because those are still encouraging and motivating for any of our students to see where they are, where they need to go to potentially enter this field. It doesn't matter what special population, gen ed, that's something I think all students can benefit from. I hope that was helpful.
And even jumping in on that as well, as Andi said, we are zooming in on the skills that they already have. And I think that sometimes, soft skills are typically overlooked, but underneath that database, it says, okay, if you can do this, or you'll have to do this, or you have to do this. And, seeing some of the elementary kids are like, I can answer a phone, I know how to make PowerPoints. I can. So I haven't seen so much, and I teach in a high ELL population, and I haven't seen so much as oh man, I can't do that so much as I can already do these things. Ah, okay, I already have a plan. So, yeah, as Andy said, just focusing on, what it is that they can do and the skills that they already have, because let's be honest, they're going to train you anyway.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andi and Jenn. Next we have, I am a librarian and I found that several books do not have a Lexile number. Yes, this is a question that we do get sometimes. So the way that books are measured is that either the author or the publisher submits their books to us for measurement. So if you find that a Lexile, or excuse me, that a book does not have a Lexile measure, it means that it just has not been submitted to us for measurement. So what we always say is if it's something that you really want to see a Lexile measure for, you can always reach out to the publisher directly and just request that. Let me move on down. Lots of good comments. All right, here's another one from our librarian in the audience. From your experience training or talking to other librarians, do you have any advice for us moving forward as we are new to Lexile in my district? There are a lot of great tools and resources that you can utilize as a librarian in a district that's moving over to using Lexile measures. What I will do is I will reach out to you this week and I will share those tools and resources with you, and also make myself available if you have any further questions once you get a chance to look those over. So yeah, please get Maryland. Yes, we want Maryland as a partner state. Let's see. Could you explain what a quantile is and how that affects students and teachers? So there are two different types of quantile measures. There's the quantile student measure and the quantile materials measure. So basically we're placing students and math materials on the same scale. And this is a lot to get into without a visual for you. But basically, if you have a student's quantile measure, their quantile measure indicates what they are ready to learn with a math teacher. So to match them to materials, you want to be looking at materials that are 50 under and 50 above their quantile measure. So if I have a student, ooh, and I see Jen typing an answer to that. Thank you. Jen is our math expert. So if I have a student who is at a 900Q, they would be ready for materials between 850Q and 950Q. And then I see, is there a cost for analysis of Lexile measurement for books from the publisher? Yes, there is. I don't know exactly what that cost is offhand, but yes, there is. And let's see, I do not see any more questions in my queue, but if there are any that we did not get to, we will make sure to reach out to you and make sure that your specific question gets answered if somehow I missed one. And I'll give us just a couple more moments for any further questions before wrapping it up. And while you all are taking that last call for questions, here is where you can reach out to us or to me, kgamble@lexile.com. Feel free to send me a message for any reason whatsoever, and I'll be happy to speak with you. And also, if you have a question for one of our wonderful educators, Jen, Andi, or the both of them, you can also send that my way, and I will make sure that it gets to them. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions coming in. So just thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy days to join us. And we hope that this was useful to you. And again, please feel free to reach out anytime for any reason whatsoever. We are here to support you. Thank you so much for all you do with your students in your classrooms. You have the most important jobs in the world, and we so appreciate everything you do. And I hope that you all have wonderful evening and a wonderful week ahead. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.